Okay, we continue learning 5 minutes of Bitachon. Yesterday we had a fascinating discussion, which was chapter Yud Beis, which the Bais HaLevi taught us how Bitachon yields results, profits, both Ba'ilam Hazeh and Oilam Haba. We focus primarily Ba'ilam Hazeh, how it leads one to have a tranquil, calm, beautiful life. We mentioned the controversy that the Bais HaLevi seems to write, that Bivadai, if you believe it will come. Whereas the Stipler, Ramosha Feinstein, clearly disagreed with that approach entirely. Appendix B deals with it at length. Just one more detail in chapter 12, before we move on to chapter Yud Gimel, is that at the end of chapter 12, he explains a fascinating detail. And let's just read one line inside, in which he says that Bitachon is Scharai Miruba La'ilam Haba. And if one were to think about this, it's funny, because how am I getting both schar on this world and the next world? So he explains this is a klal gadol b'chol ha-mitzvahs, tischar mitzvah b'hayal maleka. That in this world there's no reward for mitzvahs. But if you're paying attention, those words make no sense. What do you mean there's no reward? I just told you you're going to get a reward. And he continues and he explains, you got good in this world. Heimrak priya mitzvahs. It's the fruit. But the keren, the main, the principle is kayam loylam haba shekulai toiv. And the Bais HaLevi over here is explaining that yes, the reward is the next world. The keren, the fruit, the tree, the main entity. We get a little bit of a taste. We get a little bit of a fruit in this world. And what we're learning over here is, and Rav David Sutton in note 41 explains, that the Bais HaLevi is explaining to us the rule of Kol HaMitzvahs, that Schar Mitzvah B'hai Al Maleka. What that means is, but you're getting reward. It means it doesn't count as a reward. It's you're getting the fruit without touching the keren. You're getting the dividends, but the main entity is still there. That's the Bais HaLevi's approach over here. How it's possible that, of course, we benefit. We have bitachon, we have such a beautiful, bliss-free, tranquil existence, walking around, holding God's hand. There's nothing greater. But in the next world, there's even more awaiting for those that have bitachon. And with that, we move on to chapter Yud Gimel, which really now delves very deeply into the $1,000,000 question in all of bitachon, which is hishtadlus. As the title says, Chiyav hishtadlus, what is the obligation of hishtadlus? Of putting in the effort? Hurak oynesh ugzeira. Says the Bais HaLevi, it's a punishment, it's a decree, vigam, and as well he throws another entity in. Kadesh lo yechates, so one does not sin. So over here the Bais HaLevi begins to teach us the $1,000,000 question. Why do we have to do ishtadlus? For what reason? And he begins and he asks the question. In reality, a complete person should not. Why should one have to work at all? And all his needs. Why should he have to work? The way this world should be, like Adam Arishan before he sinned, which was what? The Malachim, what were the Malachim doing? They were sitting and making a barbecue. Silent like basar. They were sitting pouring wine. For whom? For man. Adam Arishan in the perfect quintessential world, which only could exist, of course, Kaidem Achet, as we're going to explain. Hishtadlus, effort, toil, no reason. The Malachim themselves are sitting there and tending to Adam Arishan's needs, teaches the Gemara in Sanhedrin. And in reality, that's how the world should work. Why should I have to put an effort? God cares if I go to work. Hashem at the end of the day is allowing me to have the paycheck. I have to go to the doctor. Well, God's going to make me better or not. What, I have to go and I have to go plant grain to grow something, to make bread? If Hashem wants me to have bread, I'll make it appear on my table. What is the purpose of Ishtadlos? And says the Bais HaLevi, in reality, you're right. In reality, it should be like Adam Harishon Kaidem Achet, a perfect, bliss-free existence with the malachim, the angels up on high, tending to our needs. So why isn't it that way? So we'll have to explain more, but the title already taught us that it was a decree, it was a punishment. That's what happened when Adam sinned. And as we're going to see, there's a deeper entity going on over here. That once Adam Harishon did an Aveira, there's a tendency of mankind to sin. And therefore, if we weren't to work, we'd have a big problem with all that free time, which would lead one to sin. Which B'siyata D'Shemaya will continue and explain tomorrow. Emirza Hashem.